Hello comrades, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, the quest for the final frontier. I'm Comic Fritz the Great, and in this episode we are finally at long last, going to attempt to land on the surface of Duna. If you'll remember, in the previous episode we sent the Ike probe down to the surface, we landed and we came back up with some scientific research, and I've transferred the remaining fuel into the orange space tug, and now that part of the mission is over and we can get on with landing. Now there is no time to lose, of course, because I want the perfect opportunity to actually start my retrograde burn to descend onto the surface. I'm just here making sure all of the fuel tanks are full before we begin the descent. Of course, I have more than enough electric charge with all of those batteries and solar panels. So now we're going to go ahead and undock from the space tug, and the mission shall thus begin. Right, turning on the RCS, switching to the Duna lander. This is the first time that I've actually flown the lander independently, so I guess we'll have to find out how this thing flies, won't we? I have enough electric charge. The monopropellant levels are perhaps a little bit worrying, but nonetheless I'm going to point retrograde and begin my burn. I'd like to go in for quite a steep descent trajectory, so to activate the engines and slowly push myself away from the space tug, then lower my periapsis all the way down to the surface of Duna. Obviously we've already dropped out of orbit, and I'd quite like to land on the bright side, so I'm just going to burn a little bit more. We've gained a lot of distance over the space tug, so hopefully my frame rate should increase a few fold. I think that will be fine for now. Okay, I'm just going to move all of these parachutes down into one stage. 4 parachutes there, another 4 parachutes. I have loads of parachutes on this thing. I'm not taking any chances, because I'm going to have to land back at Kerbal with this lander, because I have lots of science on board. So obviously the more parachutes, the better, the greater the safety margin that I have. So let's time warp down. And we can then start our descent into the depths of Duna's atmosphere. We're looking good so far. Newly Kerbal seems to be happy. And there we are, we've started to aero brake. I'm still doing 820 meters per second. It's perhaps not the best kind of speed to hit the surface at. So perhaps I may start to do a tiny little braking burn. This is quite a heavy craft, I've only just realised, but I've got quite a lot of scientific equipment and other gubbins on board. It's also quite hard to handle in the atmosphere, which doesn't really help much either. So anyway, I'm going to throttle all the way up. I'm still doing 760 meters per second. And I'm getting quite worried about this because I don't know when I should deploy the parachutes, and I don't know what speed I'll be doing when I finally do deploy the parachutes. So I am quite literally flying by the seat of my pants, as of course I usually do. But yeah, we seem to be looking good on fuel, although I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch their eggs. So we're also good on landing position. I'm going to deploy the parachutes. They've all been deployed. All I have to do is just control my descent with the engines and see where the hell that gets me. What I have to do now, though, is slowly back off the throttle. Now that I've killed off most of that residual velocity, before the parachutes deploy. And I don't know when that's going to be, so maybe I'll drop it down to about 300 meters per second before I try anything stupid or risky. Or in the case of Kerbal Space Program, downright harebrained in the first place. This is quite a tricky descent, I have to say. Unlike anything I've ever seen or done before. We are, of course, pushing the boundaries in the name of science, and so we are thus entering the unknown. Health and safety, it seems, in the Kerbal Space facility is non-existent, possibly similar to the state of Newly Kerbman's life insurance policy, and as I said, we are also entering the unknown, potentially as to the state of his trousers. But yes, we're going to just time warp down to the ground a little bit. We've used up half of our fuel, so I don't particularly want to use up any more, if we're going to be brutally honest. So I am once more speeding up. The atmosphere is getting thicker. And I'm going to slow down, do a further bit of a boost, like so. I'm going to check the state of these outer fuel tanks. I haven't used anything in there. That's a good thing. These engines are slightly less efficient than I thought they would be, and I'm trying not to panic, but the ground is coming up really fast. I don't know if you can see that, ladies and gentlemen, and there go all of the parachutes at once. Turning the SAS off, just letting everything settle down. Drop the landing legs. Whoa, the drogue chutes are doing their work, and I can see the ground scatter. This isn't too good. I'm a bit worried about the fact that I don't know when the hell these parachutes are going to deploy. So I'm going to throttle all the way up and hope that nothing goes wrong. Oh my god. This could be bad. Ooh. That was close. I have to say, right. Whoa. Hehe. Landing lights on. There they are, illuminating the surface. Doing 11 meters per second. That is a lot of parachutes. Going to zoom out a bit. 11 meters per second. 10. 9. I've got to land at less than 10. Preferably a lot less than 10. And yes! The Eagle has landed on Duna. That was amazing. That was really crazy. I never thought that would happen. But yes, we've made it down to the ground in one piece. And I really haven't got any words to describe that. I'm going to quick save once more just to make sure. Wow. I thought for a moment that we were completely and utterly apocalyptically screwed, but... well... that's KSP for you. Right. Now to do some science. It certainly looks very interesting. Actually, before that, I should probably do a crew report. "40 science, starting transmission." Okay. The bold newly Kerman is about to take his first steps on the surface of Duna. If the ladder works correctly, obviously. No. Okay. We'll go up for a close-up shot as he descends the ladder. And there he goes. That was as stylish as you can possibly get. Newly Kerman, the first man on the surface of Duna. And would you look at that? That is the face of a man who is totally and utterly stoned in every conceivable way. We do a quick EVA report. Keep the data. Take a surface sample before we plant the flag. Keep that, and then... yes. And our new flag takes its place, its pride of place on the surface. Awesome. Right. Spacecraft piloted by newly Kerman. Touchdown on this site. Right. Let's get back to the spaceship. The gravity on Duna is slightly higher than it is on the moon, but not as high as Kerbal. So we can in fact use the jetpacks. Another thing we can do is the material study. We try and use the ladder to get back into the capsule. And, well, this is awkward. Okay, RCS pack it is then. Right. And get back on board. Okay, let's get on with the real science. Observe the materials bay. Wow, we'll get 200 science. if we return that. One other thing is the mystery goo canister, which looks like great fun. You observe the goo, 80 more science there, and a temperature scan. Lock the temperature. Collected and recorded the temperature from the environment. That's good. Okay, I'm going to pause here and repack all of those parachutes because I'm going to need them when I get back into orbit and land eventually. So I'm going to cut off here for a few moments and I will see you on the other side. Okay, our work here on the surface is done, and what we have to do now is get back up into orbit to rendezvous with the space tug. If I just quick save there, check the map view. The space tug's far too far ahead, and I don't know if we have enough time to do this in this episode. So, position the space tug about there. That will be fine and dandy indeed. And then we can set it as our target. And the orbit is slightly odd, but that should be fine anyway. Oh, we have a handy guidance indicator on our nav board anyway. So, we must now bid goodbye to the surface of Duna as we fire up the engines and we leave this. Fold in the landing legs and just tilt over to where we want to go slightly. I don't even know actually if we have enough fuel to make it back into orbit, but touch wood we do. Hopefully we won't sort of crash back down. If we do run out, we'll have some kind of orbit rough and ready to go. I seem to be burning through the central tank pretty quickly. So I really don't particularly want to look at my fuel level. I have a tiny bit of leeway because I have 2 extra fuel tanks to balance out the weight of the materials bays, so I will have 2 engines even if 2 run out, which they inevitably will. So my apoapsis is 15 kilometers, and as long as I get my apoapsis above 50, say maybe it's about 60 kilometers, and into an orbit, I can then think about bringing my space tug down into a lower orbit instead, just for convenience's sake. And my fuel level is quickly dropping, which is quite scary. I'm going to check the map again. 40 kilometers, we're almost there. The gravity isn't as high as I thought it would be, but we still have to achieve orbital velocity. So I think I'm going to start tilting over a little bit more. Already I've gone a bit too much. Yes, okay. 500 meters per second I can possibly throttle down. I've reached the... and okay, I'm going to stop burning right there. That was perfect timing. Any longer and I would probably have binned the mission, essentially. Right, okay, right. my ascending and descending nodes are completely off by 12.3 degrees, in fact. So I'm going to have to sort that out before I do anything else. In which case, at my apoapsis, what I can now do is bring my thingy down to about there. It's about 1 degree off now, but that should be fine. Wow, 12 degrees is quite a lot when it comes to interplanetary travel. I'm quite surprised by that. Newly Kerbal is beginning to freak out, and I am totally sympathizing with him in every way. So we align ourselves with the blue maneuver marker, and then time warp all the way up to where our maneuver is going to be. Okay, I need 34 more meters per second. That's looking easy enough. .3 meters per second, and that should be fine, I guess. Minus 0.7, okay. I should also think about doing is throttling up, because I lost quite a bit of speed. I also think I completely screwed this up. And yes, indeed I have. Actually, that doesn't really matter, because we can then start to adjust things when we climb into orbit. And it seems that I'm about to run out of fuel in the external tanks. But I am going to get into orbit. I think. I don't know how the spacecraft is going to behave on only 2 functional engines. Then again, I guess we are about to find out. This is quite tense. Admittedly, I really don't know what I'm doing. 65 units, we should make it. And indeed, we are going to make it. .33 kilometers, I should probably think about burning a little bit more. Even though it's quite difficult to judge with Duna, and stop. Right. That orbit is completely wrong. It didn't achieve what I wanted it to, but our mission objective is complete. So, it's been exciting, and join me next time when we will conclude our Duna mission. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment and subscribe if you did. And I will see you next time on Kerbal Space Program.